a chance. So sometimes I'll tell them, thank you for always volunteering. I love that. I just want to tell you, I know that you usually know the answer really well, but I'm going to try to call on some other people. So if I don't call on you every time, that's why. And that's helpful to say quietly, but sometimes just saying to everyone, let me find someone I haven't heard from team 4. You guys are getting really quiet over there. And then you might, do that. And then one of the 4 will likely, especially if it's something that's a little easier to say. So that kind of helps with that. Okay, so you came up with some good rules. So what I'm hearing, and this is what I do after we have this conversation, is a lot of times they'll remember the rules from the teacher from the year before, and then things they come up with. Well, I'm hearing be safe. Like somebody said not to run in the halls. I'm just making this up now. So you're right, because someone can get hurt. So I'm hearing be safe and keep your hands to yourself, be safe, and don't run with scissors, be safe. I mean, this is all sounding like be safe, right? And be kind. So that's like support each other, be nice. Okay, that's good. And I'm hearing be honest, like don't cheat, and tell the truth, and do your own work. So that's all being honest. So wouldn't you say it's kind of like be your best? Yeah. And so, yeah, you got it. Here's what I do. I don't put this out that day, but I say, I'm going to put those together and put those on our wall. And this is what I go for every year. Now, trust me, even though, I do this every year, they don't go out to recess and say, what were the rules last year in fifth grade? I want to make sure. They never figure it out. But I say, that's what I'm hearing. Here's why you want your rules to be kind of broad. If you have, don't run with scissors, then that would just be one rule. We need a category. Be safe. So then they keep your hands to yourself, or walk in the hall, or anything like that could fall under be safe. Don't lean back in your chair, falls under be safe. Be kind, don't make fun, and so on. Be honest, that's the cheating, tell the truth, all of that. Don't take things that aren't yours. And be your best kind of hits it all. And I love it because I can always find a rule. When somebody's doing something wrong, I can find the rule that it fits under. Do you see where I'm going with that? So you might be going, well, what do I do about all those little unwritten rules? Like those little, they can't write in pen in class. So what I do is I have something called Mrs. Abbott's Unwritten Rules. And I actually took little colored paper like this, and I have them all scattered around, and on them I would just draw. We would say, okay, we've got, let's say, recess in 5 minutes. I have enough time to go through some of my unwritten rules. So these aren't going to be on the board, just things you need to know about me. Okay, so I have a rule that you can't have gum or candy unless you've gotten it from a teacher. So if a teacher gives it to you, you can have it. But you can have it as long as I don't see it or hear it, okay? By 5th grade, though, they all really wanted to have gum and candy, so I decided to allow it, as long as I didn't see it or hear it. Meaning, I don't want to see the wrapper, you're not passing it out to everyone, you're not blowing bubbles, that kind of thing. And they understood that rule. Oh, let's do another one. And that's where I have, make sure you always have your 3 pencils sharpened and ready to go. And what I would do is, throughout the week, I would just pull these out and say them. So one time, I had a student say, well, Mrs. Evan, if it stayed, can you share this with us? So I typed them up, and they're in your notebook. But I have things like, you are responsible for picking up your absent work. And so I showed them where to pick that up. Keep a positive attitude at all times. No sighing or eye rolling. So I let them know, even if you don't like something, that's okay. They're not like it, just don't show it because it's not polite. It's breaking rule number 2, be calm. Okay. Don't get into your belongings during instruction, and do not get ready to leave until after you've been dismissed. So I do this simulation. I ask for a volunteer, and I say, can I have a volunteer, someone who has like a trapper keeper with zippers, who doesn't mind if I get into your stuff? And so I get someone up here, and I say, I want you to stand up here and give us directions, and 5th graders can do this, how to get to your house from the school if we were riding our bike. And then I sit down and I zip and I unzip and I open the trapper keeper and close it, and just me, and everyone's listening. And then I say, what if I'm giving you a test over what you just heard the student say? How are you gonna do? And they're all like, and then I'll say to the people who were sitting around me, I'll say, do you feel like you've heard everything? No. Why not? I was annoyed, I was distracted, I could hear, but it was just one person getting into their stuff. teacher, was it distracting? Yes, it was hard to pay attention. But you know how to get to your house, right? Yes, but I couldn't hardly do it. So I usually try to choose someone who might be that kid who gets into their stuff a lot. I don't tell the class that. But they have empathy for me after that. It's amazing how that works. So that non-example helps them know not to do that. So that's something too. So that one I opt out. Keep your hands to yourself at all times, especially in the line. No beauty shop, like hair braiding. So like if they're in the line or I'm reading a book and they're all sitting on the floor, not to do that, because not everybody wants to have that done. When you're in line, hold the playground equipment still, so they're not throwing the soccer ball in the air. I'm just going to tell you now, call it playground equipment. Don't sharpen your pencils when someone is talking or presenting. So sometimes I'll want to say, oh, on number 5, you need to, it's kind of a weird problem, let me tell you about it. So sometimes I'll even have people stop sharpening, or they just got ready and they'll stop, and then they are being respectful and they let me make that announcement and they get back to it. Or if somebody's up here reading their Encyclopedia Explorer, we wouldn't want someone getting up and sharpening their pencil because that's just distracting. I even actually teach them how, even if they were in the restroom and they come back, if someone's up here presenting, to just stand at the door until their turn's over, and as everyone's clapping, then go to your seat. You are just so sweet and polite, and do that. It's really great. Is this helpful to hear these? Mm-hmm. Don't go into the classroom if I'm not in the room. I only like one student at a time at my desk with a question because sometimes they're a little bit embarrassed and I want to work it out. Plus, I don't want somebody else hovering over and seeing the answers. It's usually a math problem, is why I say that. So I had a round table, you have the kidney-shaped tables. I'll say, you can wait over here and you can work on the problems you do know how to do while you're waiting, and I'll help this student and then I'll help you. But sometimes I'll say, if you're having trouble with problem 8, come on up, let's just all do it, or I'll go over here and we'll do it together. Sometimes that happens. If you need something, I'll ask you if I need help. So don't ask, because you know how, can I raise the board? They all want, can I cut those things out? Can I do this? Can I do that? I like to wait and ask to share the love for one thing. Also, having class officers is helpful for that. Don't go into other classrooms before or after school or during recess. Save your personal stories for recess, like my dog had puppies. I show them where to put their lunch money, and I always had an apple on my desk that they put it under. And to make sure they label it, because they sometimes don't do that. If you leave school during lunch or recess, be sure to leave me a note. Because sometimes you'll get back, you guys probably have this. You get back to the room and you're like, where's Marshall? Okay, and it's nice to know. If you get out of line for any reason, you lose your place and you will join the end of the line. Just declaring that ahead of time saves a lot of trauma. If any adult enters the room for an announcement, stop what you're doing immediately and give him or her your full attention. We always had the music teacher would pop in and say, today you need pencils, or you need to be sure and bring your recorders today, that kind of thing. But it was just polite. And it's really cool when someone notices that they're doing these things. When you're called on, stay on topic. Pick up after yourself. Don't borrow things from my desk without permission unless you have the desk for the day. Don't ask to go to the nurse unless it's necessary. Ice packs will only make you cold if there's no swelling. That's kind of a thing. Did you have that? Have you had that happen? Like one person has ice pack and everybody wants an ice pack. But really, if they're not swollen, they don't need the ice pack. So I talked to them about trying not to do that. Okay, so those are the unwritten rules. Questions, comments, helpful to sort out the rules that way? Yeah. Okay.